Hey, ladies and gentlemen, today we are starting our notes on the muscular system. We have already done the notes on the vocabulary, so if you missed that, go back and check that out. We are going to talk about how your muscles work eventually, but today we are going to talk about your skeletal muscles and what they do. Now, there are about 640 muscles in your body, and we can actually cut that in half because they're in pairs. So about 320 pairs of muscles in your body. That's way too much. So we are going to pick a handful. I think we got about 23 words to learn today. We're going to pick 23 muscle groups, and we're going to talk about how they move your body. So let's jump on into this. So the muscular system. So how are we doing this? Normally in class, I would have given you a blank handout, and as we go through this, I would have you label it with me and color code it to study. Now, we're doing this digitally. I'm not sure how we're going to be handling this. Check on Google Classroom for instructions. Hopefully we have that all figured out. But what I'm going to be doing right now is going through each muscle group, telling you what it's called and showing you what it does. So let's get started. Make this guy black and white, and I will colorize each muscle that we're going to be talking about. And we are starting with the abdominals. You know them as the abs. Now, here's the cool thing about the muscle. If you look really closely, you can see lines going up and down. Now, because of those lines, we can see how the muscles attach. I mean, they attach down here and then follow the lines and attaches here. So when the muscles contract, they contract along those lines. So this end and this end are going to contract toward each other. And then here and here, and then here and here, and then here and here. So the bottom of your abdominal muscles are attached down here at the pelvis, and the top are attached up here at the ribs. And as those muscles contract, it is going to bring your upper body closer to your lower body, giving you a sit-up motion. So if I am having you color this in somehow or fill something out, now's a good time to pause and do whatever the instructions say to do, but I am moving on. Your next group of muscles are called your biceps. And again, following the lines, they attach up here at the shoulder, reach down and grab your forearm. So even though they are on your humerus bone, they don't actually move the humerus bone. They are reaching down and moving the bones of your forearm, the radius and the ulna. So here you can see the attachments. The tendons of the muscle reach up and they're holding on to the scapula and the collarbone. And they're going to reach down and grab the bones of the forearms, the radius and the ulna. And when those muscles contract, they bring the bones up closer. So notice that, guys, that there is only one real motion, and that is pull. Your muscles do not have any kind of pushing motion. So keep that in mind. Your muscles are only going to pull on the bones. To go back down, you either just let gravity do its thing, or you have a different muscle to bring it back. Moving on from here, we have your deltoids, also known as your shoulder muscles. Now, anyone in math class ever heard the term delta? You know that that delta symbol would be shown as a triangle, and that's what these muscles are shaped like. They are triangular muscles. They just don't look that way because of the way they're laid across your bones. But they are going to latch on to your collarbone and parts of your rib cage and your scapula, and they're going to reach down and grab your humerus bone, and they're going to contract this way. And when they do that, they're going to pull on that bone, giving it lift, allowing you to raise your arms, also allowing some backwards motion as well, giving you some twist and lift. Again, if you're still doing some kind of work, now's a good time to pause and finish that up. I'm moving on from here. The next one you can't actually see. You would actually have to remove all of these visible muscles, cut them off, lift them up, and you would expose two very long muscles along your vertebrae. We call them the erector spiny muscles. Erector because to be erect, it means to stand up, to straighten out. And spiny because it follows the path on either side of your spine, of your spinal column. Now they reach out and grab the back of your pelvic bones, continue all the way up and grab onto the back of your ribs and your neck. And when they contract, they are going, just like your abs pulled you forward, these are going to be the muscles that pull you back up into the straight position. As you can see, the muscle attaches down at the pelvis, reaches up the back and up the neck, and is holding this body straight. And yes, if you contract strong enough, it can actually pull you back even further. And this is the reason why they say you should never lift with your back, because if you were to pull this muscle, you would actually not be able to hold yourself up straight anymore. All right, moving away from your back for a second, let's go down here. This muscle is known as the gastrocnemius. Yes, it's hard to pronounce. I'll say it slowly. Gastrocnemius. The gastrocnemius muscle, you know it better as your calves, but gastrocnemius is the actual word for it. And take a look here. You can see that it tucks up underneath these muscles in the back, those are your hamstrings, and grabs onto your femur, and then comes down, reaches about here, and then a very long tendon grabs your heel. So when this muscle contracts, it's going to pull your heel up and causing you to go up on your toes. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find a good video showing that motion, but think about driving a car. This is the muscle that's going to cause you to press the gas pedal. So think of the gastrocnemius as your gas pedal muscle. Now for this next one, you're going to want to look very closely because it's covered. Down here, behind the tendon that we just talked about, that is known as the soleus. And it's not small, it's just hidden. Only this little bit is hanging out. So let me show you a better picture of it. So if you look at this picture, there's your gastrocnemius muscle again, and then that tendon, which by the way is the Achilles tendon. I'm sure you've heard of it. But tucked underneath that is your soleus muscle. And it is going to function much the same way as the gastrocnemius. It's going to attach up here at your femur, reach down and grab onto your heel and allow for extra strength, because you're going to need all that extra muscles because they're working together to lift your body up. That's a lot of weight bearing down on just this one area. So you're going to use multiple muscle groups in order to go up on your toes. Here's another picture of it, gastrocnemius muscle right here. And then between that and the bones of your leg, the soleus muscle going all the way down. So moving away from there. Yes, take time to pause and laugh. All teenagers do. No, this is not a butt muscle. It is known as the gluteus muscles. You have a gluteus maximus and a gluteus minimus, but for the sake of trying to not overload you with stuff, we're just going to lump them together and call them the gluteus muscles. When I say that no, they are not your butt muscles, it's because your butt is actually fat and skin. This is the muscle underneath all of that, and you can see where it attaches. Again, follow the lines. It's going to anchor onto your hip bones, reach down and grab onto your femur. So when it contracts, it is actually going to pull your legs straight. So as you can see, this person is in a sitting position. Here's their vertebrae, here's their hip bones, and then there is their femur. And the muscle reaches around and grabs. And when it contracts, it's going to pull the femur down, allowing the person to stand up straight. Moving on. Here we got what a lot of people think is their least favorite muscle to exercise, your hamstrings. Athletes may also refer to them as your hammies. Your hamstrings anchor at your pelvis, reach down, and grab the bones of your leg, the tibia and fibula. So when this muscle contracts, it is going to lift your leg up, bringing your heel upward. And you can see that motion happening here. So here's your hamstrings, and you can see it attached to your hips, reaching down to the lateral and medial sides of your leg bones, attaching, and when those muscles contract, you lift your foot up backwards. Again, bringing your heel up. From here, we're moving up vertically to some back muscles, and these are known as the latissimus dorsi. Latissimus dorsi. Think about the words. Latissimus, lateral. Right? Remember what lateral means? It means off to the sides. And dorsi, dorsal, on your back. So these are muscles on your back that handle something off to the side. So they're going to anchor at your hips and also up your vertebrae. And they're going to reach off to the sides and grab the underside of your arms, grabbing the humerus. So when they contract, they are going to bring your upper limbs down. So here you can see, again, attaching to the vertebrae and the pelvis, reaching up from the dorsal side to the lateral side, latissimus dorsi, and grabbing onto the underside of the humerus. So when these muscles contract, they're going to pull the humerus down. And in this case, for a pull up, it's going to end up pulling the body up. So if you want to be able to do good pull-ups, it is not just going to be your biceps, but it's also going to be your back muscles. Moving superior from there are a set of muscles called the rhomboids. Now, this particular picture is not drawn 100% correctly. It's not a vertical one like this one shows. It's going to be more on an angle. And unfortunately, I couldn't find a good video of that one, but I did find some good pictures. Now here you can see the rhomboids grabbing onto the vertebrae, reaching out and latching onto the scapula. So when this muscle contracts, it is going to bring your shoulder blade back, bringing your arm back with it. And here in this picture, you can see that it's on both sides. So it's actually going to end up bringing your arm and shoulders closer to the middle from the back. So since I couldn't find a video, let me show you on myself. What I mean by this is if you're going to, say, throw a ball, that rhomboids on the back are going to pull your shoulder blades back just a little bit more, allowing for a little bit more spring to the throw. It's also when you want to crack your back and you go like this. Right, those are the rhomboids pulling you back just a little bit more. Moving on from there, we are now going to be talking about the obliques. Notice the connections. They're attaching near your abs and then reaching around sideways, not up and down, but side to side. So again, looking at the muscles going sideways, they're going to allow for side to side motion. Moving on up from the obliques, here's one that you guys probably do recognize. The pectoralis muscles. You probably know them better as your pecs. You have pectoralis major and pectoralis minor. You can't actually see minor because they're underneath major. For the sake of simplicity, I'm lumping them together as just your pectoralis muscles. But remember, you have major and minor. And yes, ladies, you also have pectoralis muscles. A lot of times I have people who think that only men have pecs because that's what you're used to seeing on the male body. Women have them underneath the breast tissue, but it is still there. They latch on to your sternum, which is, you know, as your breastplate, part of your rib cage, and they reach out across sideways and grab your humerus. So when they contract, they're going to pull this way and bring your arm or your whole upper limb with it. So as you can see here, the muscles start at the sternum, your breastplate, reach across to the humerus. So right here now, we're looking on my mouse here. When it contracts, it's going to pull the humerus in. And yes, different sections of the muscle are going to control slightly different motions. But the overall idea is it's going to bring your upper limbs forward, allowing you to have that push-up motion. So those of you who are trying to get larger pecs, push-ups are actually a great way of doing that. From here, we are going downward back to the legs to the quadriceps. Again, following where they attach, they're anchoring themselves at the hips again, reaching down over the humerus and grabbing onto a couple different places actually. They're called quadriceps because there's 4 different muscle groups in here. Some of them are grabbing onto your tibia, or one grabbing onto your fibula, and one is grabbing onto your kneecap. And then your kneecap has a ligament grabbing onto your ankle area. So when this contracts, it is going to pull upward, bringing your lower leg up straight. So again, if you're in a sitting position, this will lift your leg into a straight line from hips down. Or in the case of this video, this guy cannot lift his leg up because if he did, he'll fall. So instead, his hips are going to move forward, creating a standing position. Now, in order to stand up fully, he's going to need the gluteus muscles and the erector spiny muscles to straighten up fully. So the quadriceps are going to be used to straighten the lower limbs. After that, moving up again, we're going to the neck area, and we have what is known as the trapezius muscles. Or for you athletes, you may have heard of it as your traps. Notice on the dorsal view side that it kind of looks like a lowercase t. Right? Cross and down, right? That is how you remember that this starts with a T word, trapezius. Now, why is this muscle so big? What is it going to be doing? Well, it actually has multiple jobs. So it attaches here at your vertebrae, it also attaches at your shoulders, and it also attaches at your neck. So when this contracts, it can help you stand up straight. It can lift your shoulders up a little bit, and mostly it is going to be used to hold your head up straight. So here we see the trapezius muscle. Just like the rhomboids, it can also help bring your shoulder blades together. No one muscle ever actually works by itself. You're going to have multiple muscle groups helping it out, making you stronger. So let's rewind that. Easy. It can bring the shoulder blades together. It can lift your shoulder blades up, giving you kind of a shrugging motion. It can help your deltoids lift your upper limb. And as I said, is going to help hold your head up straight. Notice your neck bones attached at the back of your head. So the whole front of your face is subject to gravity pulling it down. It takes a lot of muscle back here to keep your head up, which is why you spend all day looking straight. By the end of the day, your neck and back hurt because these muscles have been used to hold your head up all day. And now they're tired. And one last muscle on this picture. We're not done yet. We have some other muscles to go through, but the last one for this picture are the triceps. This is going to be the back of your humerus, where your biceps were here in the front. The triceps are going to be the antagonist to that. Meaning the biceps lifted your forearm up. Your triceps are going to bring your forearm back down. As shown here, this guy's arm is bent. He's holding a rope with weights off screen. And when the triceps contract, they're going to pull this bone forward. You can see the muscle, as it contracts, it gets fatter because it's getting shorter. And that shortness is what brings the bones forward. And that's it for a lot of the major muscles of your body that most people want to exercise, want to work out in order to make themselves bigger, faster, stronger, whatever. So next time you're performing some kind of motion, you're doing some kind of sport, think about which muscles are actually at play in those motions. If you want to get better at doing a certain action, think about which muscles perform that action and try to exercise those muscles. One last picture, and I do not have a bunch of videos for this. They were hard to come by, but these are going to be the muscles that control your facial expressions. So up here, we have your frontalis muscle. Yes, it is in your forehead, attached to the top, reaching down, and it's going to be used to help lift your eyebrows up, control eyebrow motion. You're going to get a little extra help with that Now you can see here you got round muscle for your where your eyebrow is going to be, but the frontalis muscle is going to help out with that as well. Back here is your occipitalis muscle. This is actually really weird. This muscle contracts in the back, but that's going to pull all of this backwards, which is going to help the frontalis muscle pull on the front. So you actually have some subtle intricacies in facial expressions happening all around your head. Then on the side, your temporalis muscle, which is going to be helping pull around your ears and the sides of your face. But this is a weird thing, guys. As humans, we don't really move our ears around a lot. Now, a lot of animals have the ability to move their ears around side to side to help them locate different sounds, find out where sounds are coming from. And humans apparently used to have the ability, at least our ancestors used to have the ability to do that. We no longer do, but the muscle is still there. It's just not very strong. And it also does have some other side of your face motions, again, subtleties for facial expressions. Down here is one of my favorite facial muscles, the masseter muscle. It is going to help you macerate your food. And yes, that sounded very strange. I understand. You heard me wrong. I said macerate. That means to chew your food, right? This is going to be your food chewing muscle. When you clamp down, that's because this muscle is pulling your jaw up. So those people who have very stressful lives, like to grind their teeth or just bite down really hard in stress, you can tell who those people are because they tend to have very large masseter muscles. So keep an eye out for that. And if your friends have that, maybe you should talk to them. Here, we have a very strange sounding muscle. This is orbicularis oculi. Let's break that word down. Orbicularis. Orb, to be round. And then oculi, ocular, eyes. So this is a round muscle around your eye, and that is going to handle those eye-based facial expressions, wide-eyed, sad eyes, angry eyes, all that kind of stuff. And then down here, another big word, orbicularis oris. Again, orbicularis, round. And then oris, like oral, having to do with your mouth. This is the round muscle of your mouth. And that's going to handle the facial expressions that have to do with your lips, smiling or snarling and or whatever. Duck face for selfies if people still do that weird thing, right? So that's all happening with that muscle. And that is it for today, guys. And that is all of the muscles I'm going to expect you to know for the test. So make sure that you are studying it. You have them all memorized. You will be expected to know them. So until next time, go on to Google Classroom, see if I left you any additional work to do, and I will see you in the next video.